It's good daylight. Let's get breakfast. Make up your campfire good.
What's the use of making a campfire to cook strawberries and such? But you ain't got a gun. But you got a gun, and we can get something better than strawberries.
Strawberries and such? Is that what you live on?
I could get nothing else.
Why, how long you been on the island, Jim?
I come here the night after you got killed.
What? All that time?
Yes, indeed.
And you had nothing but that kind of rubbish to eat?
No, sir. Nothing else.
Well, you must be most starved, ain't you?
I reckon I could eat a horse. I think I could. How long you been in the island?
Since the night I got killed?
No. Why? What have you lived on? But you got a gun. Oh yes, you got a gun. That's good. Now you kill something and I'll make the fire.
How'd you come to be here, Jim? And how'd you get here?
Maybe I better not tell.
Why, Jim?
Well, there's reasons, but you wouldn't tell me if I was to tell you, right, Huck?
Well, blamed if I would, Jim.
Well, I believe you, Huck. I run off.
Jim!
But you said you wouldn't tell. You know you said you wouldn't tell, Huck.
Well, I did. I said I wouldn't, and I'll stick to it. Honest Injun, I will. People would call me a low-down abolitionist and despise me for keeping mum. But that don't make no difference. I ain't going to tell, and I ain't going back there anyways. So now let's know all about it.
Well, you see, it's this way. Old Mrs. Watson, she picks on me all the time, treats me pretty rough. But she always says she wouldn't sell me down to New Orleans. But I noticed there was a nigger trading around the place considerably lately, and I began to get uneasy. Well, one night I creeped to do pretty late, and dude still weren't quite ready to sell me down to New Orleans, but she didn't want to. But she could get $800 for me, and it is such a big stack of money, she couldn't resist. The widow, she tried to get her to say she wouldn't do it, but I never waited to hear the rest. I let out mighty quick, I tell you.
I took out and shindig down the hill and expect to steal a skiff along the shore, somewhere above the town. But there was people astirring yet, so I hid in the old tumble-down cooper shop on the bank to wait for everybody to go away. Well, I was there all night, but there was somebody around all the time. Long about 6 in the morning, skiffs began to go by, and about 8 or 9 every skiff that went along was talking about how your Pat come over to the town and say you was killed. These last skiffs was full of ladies and gentlemen going over for to see the place. Sometimes they'd pull up at the show and take a rest before they started across. So by they talk all, I got to know all about the killing. I was powerful sorry you was killed, Hook, but I ain't no more now. I laid there under the shavings all day. I was hungry, but I weren't afraid because I know old Mrs. and the widow was going to start to the camp meeting right after breakfast and be gone all day, and they knows I go off with the cattle about daylight, so they wouldn't expect to see me around the place, and so they wouldn't miss me till after dark in the evening. The other servants wouldn't miss me in case they'd shin out there take holiday soon, as the old folks was out of the way. Well, when it come dark, I took out up the river road and went about 2 miles or more to where there weren't no houses. I made up my mind about what I was going to do. You see, if I kept on trying to get away afoot, the dogs would track me. If I stole a skiff to cross the river, they'd have missed that skiff, you see, and they'd know about where I'd land on the other side. and where to pick up my track. So I says, a rat is what is harder. It don't make no track. I see a light coming around the plant behind me, so I waded in and shoved a log ahead of me and swam more than halfway across the river. And I got amongst the driftwood and kept my head down low. And Kinder swam. Again, the current tell the raft come along. I see a light coming around the pint by me, so I waded in it and shoved a log ahead of me and swam more than halfway across the river and got in amongst the driftwood and kept my head down low and kind of swam again the current till the raft come along. Then I swam to the stern of it and took a halt. It clouded up and was pretty dark for a while, so I climbed up and laid down on the planks. The men was always all way yonder in the middle where the lanterns was. The river was a rising and there was a good current, so I reckoned by 4 in the morning I'd be 25 miles down the river, and then I'd slip in just before daylight and swim ashore and take to the woods on the Illinois side. But I didn't have no luck. When we was most down to the head of the island, a man begun to come aft with a lantern, and I see it weren't no use for to wait, so I slid overboard and struck out for the island. Well, I had a notion I could land most anywhere, but I couldn't bank too bluff. I was most to the foot of the island before I found a good place. I went into the woods and judged I wouldn't fool with rats no more, long as they moved their lantern around. So I had my pipe and a plug of the dog leg and some matches in my cap, and they weren't wet, so I was alright.
And so you ain't had no meat nor bread to eat all this time?
How you going to get him? You can't slip up on him and grab him. And how's the body going to hit him with a rock? How could a body do it in the night? And I weren't going to show myself on the bank in the daytime.
Well, that's so. You had to keep in the woods all the time, of course. Did you hear him shooting the cannon?
Oh yes, I know they was after you. I see him go by here, watch him through the bushes.